Place your heads back, face forwards. 3, 2, 1, go! Go! Go!
Hi, and welcome to the Anxious Rider YouTube channel. Now, something I often get asked as an anxious rider is, how as an anxious rider can I get the most out of a trip to a theme park? And my answer quite often is planning. Planning certainly helps me with my anxiety and to keep my anxieties at a much more manageable level, allowing me to push a bit harder to brave more anxious things and bigger rides, etc. So I thought I'd put together a little video with some hints and tips on things that you can do to plan before a trip to a theme park that could help manage your anxieties a little bit better and allow people to brave new things. So first of all, the first thing is about choosing the park you're going to. And the UK has many theme parks to offer. Alton Towers, Drayton Manor. So, there's a very varied choice out there of parks to go to. So the best thing is to obviously choose a park which meets your anxiety levels really, but possibly and then a little bit more, so that you're not totally comfortable, that there are things in that park that would need a little bit more pushing to be able to brave, and that way you've got that opportunity to push yourself a little bit more to get onto bigger rides or scarier rides. So once you've chosen your park and decided which one you're going to, the next thing is to know the park, know the kind of rides that are available, what tamer rides are there, in case when you get there you're not actually feeling as brave as you thought you might, but you still want to enjoy a day at the park. What you don't want to do is go to a park full of big thrill rides and then actually realise that you can't do any of them that day and be left with nothing to do except carrying the bags. A good way of doing this is downloading the app for the park, so that you can familiarise yourself with the layout, where things are, etc., which I often find is helpful for me when I'm for further planning stages further down the line. Also, once you know what rides are available at that park, research the rides. Look at the POVs. There are hundreds of thousands of POVs from rides on YouTube, which I personally find very comforting, especially when I'm planning on challenging myself with a new ride. I find that POVs give me an idea so that I know what's coming, what to expect from the ride, what it does, how often it goes upside down, how big the drops are. So I'll watch on and off ride footage, which certainly helps me prepare for challenging myself to do bigger rides. Have a look at Wikipedia, have a look at the details for each ride. How tall is the ride? How fast does it go? How many inversions does it have? What kind of restraints does it have? All these things I find as an anxious rider help to manage my anxieties a bit more. It's all about knowing what's coming and what to expect, which I think most people find quite comforting, because a major point for anxiety is about projecting, projecting what might happen. So if you've researched the rides and you know what's coming and you know what the safety features are, then you'll probably feel more comfortable getting on that ride. So that's absolutely key, is researching rides. Now the next couple of points are more specific to my personal planning for a trip at a theme park, but you may find that they are also very helpful for you. One thing I do like to do is pre-plan what I'm going to wear that day. as many of you have seen from the logo that I have for the Anxious Rider channel, the little man is wearing a pair of pants on his head. And the reason for that being that I have my, I suppose, my lucky item of clothing, which is my big boy pants, which, you know, there's a long-standing sort of story and joke behind that, but it's very true. They are the pants that I make sure are in that outfit for the day. Each person is different, but you may well find that having that piece of clothing, it may well be a piece of clothing like me that I've worn when I've braved one ride, that just gives me a little bit of a superstitious confidence, if you like, that while wearing those, I'm braver, and therefore can go on and ride bigger rides. Obviously, when you're choosing and planning an outfit, make sure it's comfortable. There's no point looking super trendy but actually feeling uncomfortable. If you're uncomfortable on a ride, you're going to enjoy it less. Or if you're uncomfortable during the day, you're going to feel less brave and less like challenging yourself. So make sure it's a comfortable outfit. Obviously, you know, you want to look good, but that's not as important as comfort. And I can't stress that enough. Comfort is key. What you're wearing is comfortable and suitable. The next important thing for me is what I like to call my survival bag. I have this little backpack. You can pick them up off Amazon for £10 or less. Great little bags, this one. And I make sure that I basically put everything in here that I feel I might need to survive the day at the park. So, for example, anxiety calmers. For me, chewing gum helps. For other people, it might be a fidget spinner toy or some other kind of, you know, little hand fidgeting toy or food item that you just find helps to calm you. As I said, for me, it's chewing gum. I find that if I've got gum to chew, it's a bit of a distraction, and it does help to calm the nerves when I'm feeling them in queue lines. Also in this bag, I make sure that I have snacks. There's nothing worse for me than being caught in a queue line for a lengthy time with no food to keep me going. And believe it or not, it is an anxiety trigger that I could get caught in that queue line. If like me, you suffer with low blood sugar levels, which you know, can be quite serious. The anxiety stems from, hold on, if I'm in this queue line too long and my blood sugars start to drop, I'm going to start to go into you know, shakes, sweats, and you know, for me the potential is to black out if that blood sugar gets too low. So I like to make sure that I've got, you know, food items in here. I usually carry a protein bar, some dextrose tablets, those kind of healthier, if you like, but sustaining snacks. A drink. Can't stress enough, a drink. Whatever it is you like to drink. Obviously water's best, it's the most hydrating, but not everybody's a big water drinker. I'm not a big water drinker. I usually carry some sort of squash, or maybe even a bottle of fizzy drink, if that's the way you're feeling. It doesn't matter. It's just something to sip on, especially on those long hot days. Again, caught in queue lines, the last thing you want to do is be caught without a drink. It can trigger anxieties. You know, people worrying about dehydrating and all of this. So, you know, always make sure that you've got drinks in there. Now, for me personally, the other things I like to have in this survival bag are my selfie stick, which obviously is what I use to film all my vlogs. My remotes for my camera and phone. I like to have my GoPro sports camera and chest rig, especially if I'm heading to a park or a fun fair where there's the potential to film some on-ride footage. If it's a wet day or it's looking like it's going to rain, I chuck a cagoule in here. Obviously the Anxious Rider lanyard is always in this bag, so that whenever I get to a park, I've always got lanyard and my Merlin annual pass. Another anxiety trigger is getting to a park and realizing you don't have your pass and maybe can't get in, that would be a massive anxiety trigger for me. So it's always in this bag, so I know where it is, and I just have to pick up the bag and go. So that's my survival bag, and as I say, another part of the preparation for me for a day at the park. So my next survival tip is all about planning. By planning, I mean have a rough plan of how you'd like your day to go, the order you'd like to do rides in, depending on if, like me, and you're going to attempt a new ride, I like to go straight to that ride and do that first thing. I find that works better for me. And then I can obviously have the rest of the day to enjoy other rides and calm, etc. But that doesn't work for everybody, and I totally appreciate that. So have a rough idea in your head and the order you'd like to do rides in, but be flexible about it, because things can happen at parks all the time which can affect that plan. So you need to have a degree of flexibility in the plan. Having a rigid plan, while initially may calm and help manage anxieties, the problem with that is that if for some reason that plan then becomes disrupted, that in itself can be an anxiety trigger and can then make the rest of the day much more difficult and much more challenging. Certainly for me, I find that that's true. I made that mistake once on a trip to Alton Towers. I had an idea of how the day was going to go in my head, and it didn't go that way. There was a big change in the day happened, and it literally threw me out for the rest of the day. I really struggled for the rest of the day. Didn't manage any bigger rides, anything like that. I was just really, really struggling with my anxiety for all the rest of the day. So don't be too rigid about this plan. Allow a degree of flexibility. For example, if you're going to Thorpe Park for the day and you've decided you would like to do Swarm, then Rush, then Nemesis Inferno, be prepared that at any point one of those rides could break down. So have a backup. So you say, well, I'd like to start with Swarm. However, if that's not working, then I'll go to this ride. And just be prepared to have that flexibility, but have a rough idea in your head, because it does help. It does help with managing anxieties to have a rough plan for the day, so that got an idea of the order you'd like to do rides, and therefore what you need to be a bit braver for, and the things that you can relax a bit more for. The next tip I think I'll give is about a ride buddy. Choose a ride buddy. But it can't just be anybody. It needs to be somebody who you completely trust, somebody who is a confident rider, somebody who can reassure you, knows the sort of things to do or say when you need to be calmed. But it also needs to be somebody who's prepared to push a little bit. I've often found with some rides that I've been able to get on them because I've got to a point, and then my ride buddy, which has always been my wife, has then just pushed a little bit, just made me challenge a little bit more, and maybe just push me through that point where if I was on my own or with somebody less confident, I would probably walk away from the ride. Equally, that person needs to know when to stop pushing, because pushing too hard can also make the situation worse. So it does ideally need to be somebody that knows you well enough to know how far they can push you before they need to go, okay, enough's enough, this isn't working, need to stop. So it can be very, very important to choose a ride buddy who knows how to do that. As I say, for me, it's worked wonders. It doesn't work for everybody. But definitely a confident rider, somebody who's done rides a lot, who knows what they're doing, is very confident on them, is absolutely crucial to challenging yourself and getting on bigger rides. That's pretty much the way I would plan for my trips to the park. As I said, some of the things are like a ritual that I go through. So packing my bag, choosing my clothing, you know, making sure I've got everything I need. They're all quite ritualistic, but they help manage my anxiety, and it could well help you too. As I said, knowing your parks is crucial, knowing what rides are available, knowing what those rides do. These are all things that can help manage anxiety and make a day at a park far more enjoyable. So there we go. That's all the hints and tips I've got for you today. I hope it's helped. I hope it makes your next theme park trip that little bit more enjoyable. If you've enjoyed, please hit the little subscribe button down in the corner here and catch my other videos, and I'll catch you later.